Assalamualaikum, a very good afternoon, and salam per TV, especially for Sarawakians over here. I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you to the organizer, and of course to every one of you for making your time here. And through the short introductions just now, I would like to just extend a little bit by saying that I've been going through a long journey as an entrepreneur, approximately about 25 years, more than 25 years. And it's not really a very easy journey, but it's a journey with a lot of tribulations and also challenges. So today, I'm here to share with every one of you on what we are looking at outreaching the world through business. And I think the tech event, particularly for this event that is conducted in TEDxKenyalang in Sarawak here, very much to look at how we want to outreach the world. And for me, coming from the background of entrepreneurship, I would say that business is the platform which can help every one of you to outreach the entire world. I would like just to also touch on, over the 25 years, together with me is bringing a wealth of network where we have established over those years of journey, establishment in different parts, and we call ourselves as a global enterprise, where we have operations over in Southeast Asia region. We also have operations in the Middle East country. We also recently have the operations entering into the United States of America, into Houston, and that is very much through the acquisitions of a listed company based in Singapore. We are also encroaching into the boundary of the African continents. We compete with a lot of Chinese company from China, because African continent is very much, I would say, control from the perspective of enterprise from China. And of course, we also have entered into the European market via acquisitions of strategic technology-based company, which we consolidate into the group of Cyberdynamic and bring back this technology into Malaysia. So I think on top of that, I will say that the company that I am representing and sharing this experience with every one of you today, this afternoon, is with a capital market capitalizations of approximately 6 billion ringgit Malaysia, from an entity which we started off way back about 25 years ago at a working capital of 50,000 ringgit Malaysia. So ladies and gentlemen, this evidence of proof is to make it as aspirations to every one of you. I heard some of you just now put your hands up saying that you are engineer. So I mean, I am also from the profession of engineer, and it doesn't mean that as an engineer you cannot become a successful entrepreneur. And I'm also not saying that if you are from other discipline, you cannot be successful. Everyone are given the options, because there is outside there one, what is people call it as success, and the other one is the failure. So it's up to you to basically go and choose which one do you really opt for. So success is always out there. So I hope every one of you in this auditorium this afternoon will look and fight and go and grab what we call it as a success. So I would like to share with you by starting off, when we talk about outreach the world, let's look at some of the reality. Number one is if we look at the human instinct itself, I think every one of you would like to outreach to go to different parts of the world. From Bumi Kenyalang, I mean, you would like to see how does Hollywood looks like. You saw through the movies and so on, it's very impressive, very attractive, and the people over there are very innovative and so on and so forth. And of course, you also heard about the success of people in Japan. So these are the instincts I think every one of us has, this kind of desire. So if we look from the reality, historically, people outreach the world through tourism. Every country has their tourism programs and so on. And of course, way back about years ago and even now, people use war as a platform or medium to outreach to other people in other parts of the world. World War I, World War II, and people is waiting for World War III. We hope it should not have happened anytime. But I mean, it's a reality, and you can see that the situation is a bit tense at the moment. If it is not a real war using weapons and so on, the threat war is going on at the moment. It's a reality that every one of us is facing. And other than that, of course, people do business. If you look from the historical part, when we go through our primary, tertiary studies and so on, we can see that a lot of all these Arab traders during the early days, they trade and they go through different parts of the world, and together they bring with them their culture, their belief, and the way of living, and cross-marriage with the locals and so on. Similarly, we also knew that the Chinese from China also travel a lot. Marco Polo, for example, are evidence and proof that it is through all these business aspiration, business activities that outreach within different parts of the world is happening. Okay, the other reality is when we talk about this outreaching the world, we will have various international policies, among others, which is when people talk about globalization at one time. Why different country and has the aspiration to adopt this policy is because they want to go and enter into the other part of the world, to outreach the world. The Americans, for example, are the heroes and the founders of these ideas of globalization. But today, it goes the other way around. So whatever that, globalization is a policy which is adopted by different countries in the intention and objective to outreach the world. We also hear recently, way back about 5 years ago, and it's still very strongly adapted at the moment, One Belt, One Road is a policy or a concept that is introduced by the government of China. And I will say that they are quite successful. China has come in to help develop Sri Lanka, go into to help to develop a lot of African countries, come in even to Malaysia to help to develop a lot of infrastructure in Malaysia, and so on and so forth. But don't talk about politics related to it, because we are not here to debate on all those things. But I would like to look from the perspective of all these policies with the intention of or objective to reach the goals of outreaching the world. So you will see that One Belt, One Road is a policy heading towards that direction. And when we see that under the new premiership or the leadership of Mr. Trump, he does not like this idea of globalization. So when he became the president, he killed off this particular program. So the world is without a very dominant leader. But the other leaders from other countries still want to outreach the other part of the world. The European countries, the Chinese from China, and then the Asia-Pacific countries, they still believe that all these interactions and inter-country business, political connections and relationships still need to be built up. So because of that, we see that CPTPP is also another policy which has been adopted, and it is supposed to be rolled out as soon as possible. So we will see how things turn up to be. CPTPP stands for Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. Again, this is the intentions of different countries outreaching to the respective other country globally. Ladies and gentlemen, I would also like to tap onto some of the reality which people says that there are what they call it as creation of creative industry. I used to join NGOs which promote all this creative industry. It's a multi-billion business, which, for example, like we look at Harry Potter, the story of Harry Potter is actually comes initially being written by Rowling. And if you look at the historical background of this particular lady, she's a lady which has been divorced by the husband, and she was struggling to make a living. And later on, she joined these writings of novels and so on, and somebody picked this thing up and make it become movies. And this is what people say, part of the initiative of the creative industry. Why it is creative? Because it starts off with an idea. It starts off with some story. And then it is being built into journals, books, and people promote it further into movies. And you will see that Harry Potter has been so successful, generating millions of US dollars from the initiative when it started off one idea. And besides that, ladies and gentlemen, it also proves to us that this is how creative industry outreach the world. We are in Malaysia. We get all these stories, movies, and so on from other part of the country. So I will say that what I am trying to prove here this afternoon is outreaching the world is an instinct that we have in every one of you, including myself. And then through the business networking as a platform for us to outreach the world can be a very good model or things for every one of you to do. So I will say that other than that is, for example, like the Bionic Woman, the Mission Impossibles, and so on. These are examples of a creative industry. Other than that, I will say that from all that has been mentioned, how people outreach the world, among other things like what have been mentioned, through war, to tourism, and then through business activity. I would like to take this opportunity to encourage every gentleman, every ladies in this particular auditorium this afternoon that let's inculcate the spirit of entrepreneurship so that you can use this entrepreneurship to build up your business. And I have always attended sessions which debate and discuss about the different races or different races that involve in business and so on. And there will be a lot of references that we made. And the conclusion, more or less, if we look at Malaysia, is the Chinese are quite ahead in terms of business or entrepreneurship skills in Malaysia. The Bumiputra, quite a number of them are also very successful, but if you look at the percentage of it as compared to the Chinese, they are still quite far, or there is still a very big gap. The Indians and other races and so on are also having quite a big gap as compared to the Chinese. So I shared and debate and discussed and made studies on this, everything I will say that if you look at the Chinese community, this feeling and this spirit of entrepreneurship is built at the very young age. So I strongly believe, ladies and gentlemen, this thing has to be played with a very strong role and initiative by parents that is in this particular auditorium. Those youngsters and so on, I would say that take this young time because you will be very energetic. I started on my journey as an entrepreneur at the age of 28. And I'm saying that I am 53 now. I'm saying that if I refer back to those things that I did at the age of 28 or 30 or 35, I can't do some of the things anymore. Because you need stamina, you need energy. Yeah? So I will say that from what I have learned is build this culture of entrepreneurship at the very young age. So if you are still studying, it does not mean that you should not inculcate this spirit of entrepreneurship. So if every one of us has this kind of feelings and this kind of motivation, I strongly believe that we can build up these nations, Malaysia, and any other people from any other nations can build up the nations based on the role that everybody played from the very young age to the very elderly age. So I will say that, for me, I believe that if we want to outreach the world, business platform is still one of the best because, number one, besides you have the wealth that you have, you can bring back a good, comfortable life and living to your parents, to your loved ones. You can also help a lot of other unfortunate people. You can also travel to network with different people from different parts of the world. And you will see that life in this world becomes very attractive. Yeah? Because you see the developments of other countries, you see the culture of other peoples, and you will see that this world is so rich with all kinds of different things which actually will build up the motivation for you to have the intentions to have a longer life. Yeah? Why people go for suicide, commit suicide? Because they see that this life in this world is so meaningless. There's no attraction. But if you are successful and you go and see everything that you see every day is a learning day and it's built up a motivation that you want to see more. So this is how I, through those experiences, feel that business is a good platform to outreach the world. And of course, some of the guidelines for a creative, successful entrepreneur, number one, strong fundamentals. What I mean here is, when you started off business, you must be doing something. For example, like I myself, I'm doing engineering services, very much related to maintenance, and I should have a very strong fundamentals, capabilities, technology, abilities, the group of motivations and people. And secondly, walk the talk, you have to go down and see what is going on. The third is we must have a very comprehensive, disciplined planning attitude. Yeah? And that goes where the word says, fail to plan is planning to fail. And success is a journey, it is not a destination. And I hope with this particular guide, it can help you. What I mean is, you will be able to outreach the world through the business that you are going to build up. Thank you very much.